Hi, in this video we will be taking a look of the Proxxon Thermocut foam cutter. So basically what this is a hot wire cutter. So there is a wire that's attached on the bottom and on the top to two metal electrodes, and when you push the button here there will be current going through one side to the other. The metal wire will get hot and you can cut stuff like foam, and that's it. Here the build is made out of plastic. And the surface here is metal with little paint indications on the top. These don't serve any purpose. We'll get to that in a second. But yeah, there's metal, plastic, metal. This is also plastic. This is metal. Let's now take a look under the thing. Here again, a really cheap construction. Here you can see the top electrode and the bottom one, so black and red wires that go in the converter box down there. I mean, there's no need to have more than that in a wire cutter, but for the brakes, it's a bit empty. But there are also two rails that can accommodate this little thingy. So here's a thing that you can turn and the little metal piece will come out of there. So now it's out and now there it goes in. And basically this interior is supposed to fix the plastic support here in place so that you can put the rail in there and so it won't move. Again in theory, because I will see in practice later. And now as there are markings, for example here it's like 8.4 millimeters, and now you can use it to cut the foam perpendicularly to the metal rail. There's also this knob that you can undo, and now you can turn the angle. But this thing on this rail here is really stupid. Why? Because if you are pushing it like this now, the motion is still parallel to the rail, so it will still produce a rectangle in this case. Now this would have some utility if the rails here, the plastic rails, will be smooth. However, as you can see from the video, there are scratches there, and so this thing, even if it's loosened up with the knob here, the movement it produces isn't smooth at all. You really have to push it in the rail for it to move. And as we'll see later, the main thing you need to pay attention to while cutting foam is to have a constant motion to make sure that the edges are nice and clean and the wire doesn't have time to melt more one part than the other. So to have a rail here that's okay, now it's not even moving, that's getting stuck, it's not usable. I'll put it that way. The rails here, you can only leave these in place and that's it. Also on this side there's a rail, and if we put this in here, in theory again we could line it up with the angles here on the side. So now it's like 45 degrees. And now if we were able to push this whole thing there, we would have a nice 45-degree angle cut here. But again, this just won't move smoothly, at least on my unit. So this really doesn't help. Now, if you don't push the carriage in the rail completely and rip it out like this, you could use it, but it's flimsy. It's not the Proxxon quality that you'd expect from Proxxon. So yeah, the angle cuts are nearly impossible on this thing, like using the rails. What I have personally done is just take the metal bar they give you, put it in where you want, for example 40 millimeters here, and then you can use it how you want. If you want another size, you can move it elsewhere. And for the angle cuts, I have just tried my best to keep the whole thing the same angle and make the cuts by hand, because yeah, the carriage is really a waste of time. And that's a shame, because the build quality of this thing is great, nice metal bar. However, the plastic here, it just catches this thing here, so Had they done some metal inlays here, I think it will be much better, but it is what it is. Before actually cutting some foam, I'll quickly show you the setup with the ring loading things here. So on the top you have this spool or the cutting wire. There's lots of wire on here. And if you ever happen to run out of this, you can always buy some more from the internet. But to run out of this amount of metal wire, you really have to make scale models every day for like 20 years. Here on top you have to tension it by hand, and then you can close the screw there, and now it's in place. Yeah, it's tight. If you want to calibrate the angle, there is this little carriage that you can also undo with a knob behind here. And then you can change the distance it's from the point here to make sure that it's perfectly 90 degrees. Here, this controls a little pin in there. So if we undo it, now the wire is loose, and we can take some new wire, put it in there, tighten it here, and now we have our new wire loaded. So again, a nice thing that you can do everything from the top here. You don't have to go under the machine. Here is the little power switch to change the amount of power that goes through the wire. It goes from 1 to 6, and here's a little guide for you for the different foam thicknesses and the number that would match them on the power wheel. Personally, I have done this by feeling it. With different foams, it varies a bit. These numbers here are like just a base level for you. But now let's power this thing up and see what it can do in action. So the machine makes a little humming noise when it's powered up. This will also change with the amount of power that is going through the wire. So now I'm setting it on 2. And let's put the rail in place. And now all you have to do is just take the piece of foam and push it through the wire. So here the power setting was a bit too low. Let's put it and try again. Yeah, much better. So here are the surfaces. On this one the power was a bit too weak, so not perfect, and on this one it's better. As you can see, the foam is melting a bit, so the final texture is different than on the factory made surfaces. One thing that's nice with this machine is that you can really mass produce pieces with the same thickness. For example, here it's 1 centimeter. And it took me like 3 seconds to get this piece that's also 1 centimeter thick without having to use any rulers or something like that. It's just done, and now I can put it aside and keep working. Or if, for example, I want now to have 1 by 2 centimeters by 3, and now I have a piece that is 1 by 2 by 3, and it was really super quick to do. So yeah, for smaller pieces this is perfect. However, if you want to have a tall piece standing like this and to cut it, you will need to make a new jig. Cannot use this one because, well, as it's like only 1.5 centimeters tall, you don't have a lot of support, so you may end up cutting your piece at a different angle than 90 degrees. So I would just glue a piece of MDF or something like that on here, so the contact surface is bigger than this here. I mean, for this it would work, but imagine you have like something like this. Then yeah, it's hard to keep it perfectly perpendicular. The height here also is a bit of a limitation. It's only 14.4 centimeters, so you can't put really big pieces of foam under here. For the side here, it's better. It's approximately 35 or 36 centimeters. And of course, if you want to do so, you can also freehand some pieces without using any jig. So for example here, let's make a little YouTube logo. And now here you can see it doesn't matter at which angle you put the thing. As long as you're keeping it the motion steady, it will always cut perpendicular to the metal guide rail. So now you have the bulk of the cutting done. Now let's do the freehand parts. And just like that, we have now the corners. So it's not really perfect as I'm doing this quick. Let's also make the inside. Now you could of course remove the wire, make a hole, put the wire through there, and so you can cut insides of the foam. But yeah, okay, it's really bad, but you get the point. You can cut freehand designs, okay? Because this is so bad, I'll try something else. And just like that, we can remove the thing we just cut. It really allows you to make cuts that you wouldn't be normally able to do with something like a knife, because here is really perfectly angled and you can make curves and of course well-measured cuts using the rails. So a quite universal tool, but the main constraint is that you can only cut foam. So this is some modeling foam to make little scale models. Here I have a piece of polystyrene. And of course, it works for this too. But now here I have a piece of foam that has been sandwiched between two layers of paper. And for this one, as you can see, it doesn't work because the paper isn't letting the wire through. In the other direction it works, but it's not really useful. Now for a quick demo, I'll also show you what happens if you leave the piece in the same place for too long. So I'm cranking up the power to the maximum. Oh, here you can see it's red. I'll quickly close the lights. Yeah, you can see it's glowing red. And now if we take the piece and let it slide through at a constant speed first, you can see no problem there, really a perfect cut. But as soon as you try to change the speed mid-cut, you can see that the foam is melted around the wire, and so the cuts come out not really precise. So that's why there is the power wheel in the front, so that you can control the power, and so you don't have to rush your job because the wire is going to melt the foam too soon. So yeah, this was my review of the Proxxon Thermocut. If this video helped you, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching and have a nice day. Bye bye.